Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. It is Friday, November 7th, 2014, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Here are tonight's top stories.
Tonight, Houston residents are urged to play dead in the event of a home invasion. And the tale of bin Laden's death.
I go, Osama bin Laden! And he goes, who's asking? I'm like, the US of A, motherfucker. Bam.
That's next.
Well, former Navy SEAL reveals that he is the man that killed Puff Magic Dragon. He promises he did.
Well, if you are a member of the draconian EU government there in France today, well, I guess we can say that the stuff has hit the fan, literally. Now, these are French farmers. They sprayed government buildings in Paris and Toulouse with feces today in protest against environmental regulations and high taxes. In a show of protest against expressing their anger at collapsing prices, increased environmental regulations, cheap imports, and high costs, thousands took to the streets, dumping pumpkins, potatoes, and carrots. They burned cars, flung apples, and sprayed feces all over a government building in Toulouse. This is coming out of Zero Hedge, and they say the French are not amused. Farmers protested against the French government's enforcement of a 1991 EU directive, which forces farmers to make costly upgrades to infrastructure in order to comply with the regulation that's aimed at curbing nitrate pollution. The government's stringent regulations don't apply to foreign competition, and of course, this is a factor that is forcing many farmers there out of business. So, of course, the French have been struggling under massive economic woes, a record unemployment, and now the farmers are fighting back because they're being put out of business so that the country can ship in all of these foreign goods. So that's a big issue. You've got to support local, buy local. And they just decided they were going to dump all of this manure that they couldn't use right there at the feet of their government. But an economist has warned that rampant corruption combined with these economic woes are going to spark revolution here in the U.S. by 2016. Economist Martin Armstrong writes, that is the magic ingredient. Turn the economy down and you get civil unrest and revolution. Now, we've reported that the U.S. Army is preparing for civil unrest in the U.S., citing a 132-page document entitled U.S. Army Techniques Publication 339, Civil Disturbances, and it outlines how troops may be required to deal with unruly and violent crowds where it is necessary to quell riots and restore public order. Now, these are the kind of riots that rocked Ferguson, Missouri earlier this year, and of course are threatening to reignite should Officer Darren Wilson be acquitted. And of course, those riots just illustrate how quickly things can escalate. Now, the Atlanta Police Department is preparing for unrest, of course, in the aftermath of the grand jury verdict in the case of Officer Darren Wilson. That's expected to be announced this weekend. The department is just one of many from across the country that are gearing up for potential disorder. This should be if Wilson is acquitted of the August 9th killing of 18-year-old Michael Brown, and it's an outcome that is widely expected. Now, peaceful protesters are, of course, welcome to exercise their First Amendment right, and I guarantee they're going to be out there in droves nationwide. But cops say that they are getting crowd control training to deal with those who may not want to be so peaceful. Now, we've seen just exactly what that crowd control looks like there with the sound cannons and the rubber bullets shooting up our reporters, as well as all of the peaceful protesters there in Ferguson. Now, a source within the Missouri military revealed that troops were conducting drills to prepare for riots in Ferguson and St. Louis. Authorities say they were even planning on shutting down the airports if disorder got out of control. And Ferguson Mayor James Knowles told CNN that police must prepare for the worst. Now, we reported earlier this summer how some shop owners there in Ferguson were able to stave off any looters and violent attacks because they were armed with guns. Now, indeed, this is one of the main reasons for the right to keep and bear arms, to be able to protect yourself and your family. But in Houston, they are being given another set of solutions when faced with a home intruder, basically telling people to lie down and play dead. This is a local news segment purporting to provide tips on how to survive a home invasion. They're advising faking a heart attack or fainting if faced with potentially violent intruders. Now, while most of the advice seems sensible, one tip in particular stands out. If you come face to face with an intruder and you're not prepared, lie down and don't look at them. Pretend to have a heart attack or a breathing problem. So basically, they're telling you if you come face to face with a potentially violent home intruder, your best bet is to lie down. Now, as a woman, I'm sorry, but I am not going to lie down when I'm faced with a violent situation. This is basically just making it easier for a would-be rapist to throw you over their shoulder and go do whatever they're planning on doing with you and your family. Nowhere in the report does it suggest women, your only defense against a violent intruder would be a gun. They say, oh, pick up a bat or some other, any other heavy object. They never once mentioned in the report how better prepared you would be if you had a gun to protect your family. They just want to teach you to lie down and take it. Hide under your bed. But a record number of Americans are now saying that they feel safer with a gun in the home. This is according to a new Gallup poll, and it indicates that almost 2/3 of Americans believe that having a gun at home makes them safer. That's more than 6 in 10, and that's double what it was in 2000. In 2000, it was just 3 in 10 who said a gun in the home makes them feel safer. So sorry to all of you gun grabbers out there, but your false flag tactics are not working. People are going to continue exercising their Second Amendment right. But what if the home invasion isn't about raping you and robbing you? What if it's about squatting indefinitely?
DNA Force.
When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in.
DNA Force.
No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies.
DNA Force.
We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
DNA Force.